Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is Friday, March the 4th, and I'm coming on just a few seconds early to give it time to pop into your feed. I am so excited to show you the cards that we made for our February class. And yep, it's March, but we're just now getting February done because last Thursday we had the icy weather. And we decided to reschedule. So let me see if I'm live over here in my group. I believe so. Oops. Scroll down so I can watch this live over here. Good morning. And turn off my sound. There you go. So it's not coming at you in stereo. So I've got a lot to do today. These cards did take just a little bit longer. Every now and then I step them up a dab so that you don't get bored. I was excited to have people come in person. Ladies came in person. I do have one or two that needed the kit, so this Facebook Live is for them as much as just for my viewing audience. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first card that I'm going to make today uses the Flowering Rain Boots bundle. And the reason this one took a lot more time is there's a lot of stamping and then die cutting. And some of it I did for you, like the label was already done, but you got to use the border dies to cut your border and do your stamping and do your die cutting. And the cool thing about the die cutting, it worked out kind of accidentally that the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine is on sale the month of March. It's called Savings Are in Bloom. It's 20% off. So this is a $60 machine that is selling for $48. And the dies for this bundle fit wonderfully in that machine. There are also 12 bundles that they are featuring because the dies will fit in the mini die cutting machine. In the catalog, it indicates which dies, I was trying to pull my catalog out right quick, will fit in the mini. It's noted on the pages. Let's see. They have a little icon. Here's what I'm looking for. On page 60. See this little icon that says mini? That means that those dies will fit in the mini machine. So that's a neat little shopping tip. Like if you don't have the big die cutting machine and you decide that you would like this small one, then that's how you're confident in knowing that the dies in that bundle will fit in your machine. So I have included this information on my Facebook page. If you're interested in this, you can message me and let me know, and we'll get it ordered for you. I'm going to demonstrate that. I did a little bit of my stamping ahead of time so that part was done. I have a tip for you about this little mini machine. I have struggled with this machine because, as you remember, it tells you how to build your sandwich, and that you should use this platform first, and then the two that are marked number 2, which are the clear ones, next. And I never could get it to feed into the machine right. I had to fight with it, and I'm like, I just don't think I like this machine. So there was a lot of talk. As demonstrators, we knew that this was going to be an item that was going to be promoted in March, and I've learned a tip that has totally changed my opinion of this machine. I can now, in good faith, encourage you to purchase it for your crafting studio. Instead of using platform number 1, someone said I use the gray platform, which is platform number 3, and it says that it's for the embossing folders. And I thought, well, all right, let me try that. So I worked on it last night because I just learned that Tuesday. So this is new and breaking news to me even. And I was like, well, let me try it. So I stamped a few of these things and practiced just a little bit. And I think I've shown you the tip before about using a little bit of washi tape to hold your die in place. It won't damage your paper when you pull it off. You just have to be real careful and not like just jerk it off. Look how easy that was. And the machine is not slipping all over the counter. It meets resistance, of course, when it gets to the die, but it cranks smoothly. I didn't have to fight with it. I didn't have to stand up to get it to go through. I'm telling you, I finally put the thing away and went, well, that's not anything like they advertise. But switch out those platforms. See how you gently pull that off? And voila, you have it die cut. It stayed where you wanted it. Let me get the other two. I was hoping I could do them together if I didn't stamp them too close together. Your paper can only be about 3 inches wide. I did have to cut down, I think I might be off the screen now. I did have to cut down my paper in order to run it through the machine. All right, so I got that one. Let's see if I can do them at the same time. That saves a little bit of time if you leave enough space so your little dies will fit. That looks pretty good. And line that up. Just push it in so it, I might get it where I can hold on to it. Of course, now it's, there it is. Didn't have it quite far enough in, but look how smoothly. And yeah, I'm holding it a little bit so it doesn't just dance all over the desktop. Totally changed my perspective of the machine. I can recommend it now. I will use it here at my desk. My big machine is in the bathroom next to my craft room. So when I'm crafting, I'm up and down and up and down. And that's fine. That's good exercise. I'm not just sitting here at my desk. But when it's something little like this, that just saves some steps. Whoops, I threw it in the floor. Move this out of the way. So I've got my little card kit over here to the side. I already used one of the border dies. On my sample card, I used the zigzag one. And on my card I'm doing for you today, I used the, I don't know what you call that. A little more elegant. The piece of paper that I put in the kit, I just cut a 6x6 piece. Now keep in mind, this class was supposed to be February the 24th, so I used a lot of Celebration products. This Simply Marvelous paper is one of the Celebration products that I used because I thought if you saw it, you would like it and you might want to place a $50 order and get a package for yourself. But that didn't work out quite that way. So we made cards with products that are no longer available. However, I do have lots of extras, so I bet we can work something out. I love Gorgeous Grape. Those of you who know me know, look, I'm wearing purple today. My pants have purple stripes. I only have on blue socks though. This I mounted just flat. I didn't want to get a whole lot of dimension going on. So when I build mine, I kind of do a little practice run. Now on these flowers, you'll see it's a little wider than will fit in the top of the can. So just take your paper snips and give it a little bit of a haircut. And the tulips the same way, because they are made to match up with those stems. And then we can use those on the inside. So we got that, I already did my flowers. And I have a flower pot running around here somewhere. Oh, it's in the envelope. It's hiding. It's like I don't want to come out. Let me show you the stack of colors. This is another reason this card took so long. We use gray granite for the watering can. We use petal pink for the flowers that were in the pot that was stamped in cinnamon cider. Soft sea foam for the leaves. Poppy parade for the tulips. And then our sentiment is stamped in gorgeous grape. So that was another, I debated kind of long and hard trying to decide, did I really want to make a card that was going to take that much time? And I decided, yes, I do, because it's a card class, and I think you guys will enjoy building your scene with these. I just love this stamp set, the dies. It has the rain boots, it has the watering can, and the little flower pot. These are the dies, rain boots. This makes a nice little decorative border. I've seen some cute things with the rake. They stamp it out in like basic gray and then we'll do a color. So basically you're running it through the die cutting machine twice and doing a little paper piecing and giving the handle some color. And then it does have a little square. Actually in the stamp set, which is in the bottom of the tub, excuse me, there's a package of seeds that is a stamp, and that cuts it out perfectly. So let's get this card put together. I don't want to take a whole lot of your time, but some of it needs a little explanation and a little bit of time just to, so we're not just rushing through. Sometimes I feel like I rush through, but when I have 5 cards, you can match that up or kind of slip it behind. I like to slip it behind. You know what? I think I put it too high. The tulips are gonna, and now you have a choice. You can put your tulips on with dimensionals. I'm going to use the mini dimensionals to give them a little bit of dimension, so they're they look more like flowers that way. And they're sort of made to match up. You can see you've got stems that are already designed for a flower. Then our little flower pot here, I put it on a dimensional. I'm going to use a bigger dimensional because it's a bigger item instead of the mini. And take the release paper off. Put that right there. These also will go on a dimensional, but I would caution you to kind of put them to the top of your stamped image, because you're going to overlap the flower pot a little bit. So if you put it too close on what's going to become the bottom, it's going to not fit very nicely. And I've already stamped Our Friendship is Naturally Beautiful. And I'm just going to mount that flat, kind of up under the edge of the flower pot, on the bottom of the can. Then, for our embellishments, these brushed brass butterflies are so pretty. And it's just a little touch that this card needs, because butterflies and flowers go together. I love my flowers that attract butterflies. If you've been to my home, you know I have a water garden that I can see out my dining room window. And I try to keep all kinds of flowers out there, so I have a lot of fluttering that goes on. And then Champagne Rhinestone Basic Jewels. If you haven't gotten some of these, they are just so pretty. And it's just the touch that this card needs. I don't usually put it in the center of every flower, but I've tried 3 and that didn't look like enough. Usually you do it in odd numbers and there are 6 flowers, but that was just the thing it needed to give this card some sparkle. And then one more little step to kind of fill in the color on your tulips. You can use your Wink of Stella, because remember, sometimes it will reactivate that ink, and it puts just a little bit of sparkle without just being in your face sparkling. It's a hint. I have a stamping demonstrator that I follow, and she calls this the ranch dressing of card making. So that kind of blends the color just a little bit. And on the inside of the card, you should have a piece of basic white. This card is cut at 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. So it's a top fold card. I think we did a couple of them this time. And then you should have a piece of the coordinating designer series paper, the Marvelous. Like I said, if you're interested in some of this, I have extra, and I can divide a package up. Like with your $25 order, you can get a half a package of it. Just let me know. I don't read minds. And then remember the leaves we had left when we trimmed them off the front? We could use those to plant some tulips on the inside. I didn't on that card. Don't know what I was thinking. But at class, I thought about it, and somebody else did it. They're like, oh, well, we're not wasting those flowers. I'm like, oh, yeah, good idea. A little bit of sticky on the back of that. So I didn't pick out a sentiment for the inside of the card because I felt like this could be a birthday card. It can be just a card that you need to send to someone for whatever reason, so I left it blank. I find those sometimes are a little easier, and most of my stamping friends have stamps, or they prefer to write on the inside themselves, so that's why it's blank. Alrighty, that's the first card. Our friendship is naturally beautiful. I know I appreciate my friendships I've developed. You probably noticed my host code. If you would like to place an order, it's maryloufoster.stampinup.net. I do want to let you know about an upcoming bundle class that I have scheduled. It's called Artfully Composed, and it's on Thursday, March the 31st at 1:30. I've only set one time for this. It kind of depends. If you would like to come and if you work, you're going to need to let me know, and we will. I will add a time that will work for you. So for your $35 class fee, you get a half of a package of the Artfully Composed Designer Series paper. This paper is kind of wild, but these cards help tone it down, and that's the fun thing about these classes. They're a little bit more difficult because I think the people, you know, if you're interested in this class, you're a more avid crafter. So you'll get a roll of the ribbon, and this is the, I had a piece of it right here, frayed white. I didn't use it on this card. You can't really tie a bow on the cards. It makes it too thick, but this ribbon is so pretty in person. I kind of like that distressed, what is it, shabby chic look. And a package of black matte dots. I would like to use the sea glass, but they're currently back ordered, so we're going to have to play that one by ear. But there will be a package of embellishments. You'll make 5 cards. Most of the time in this class, you get to do the cutting of the designer series paper yourself. So the sign up for that, I need to know and have your money by March the 17th so that I can get your products ordered. That's the thing about the product-based classes, is I need to place an order ahead of time. Let me switch switch out my tubs. Get our second card going. So our second card features the bundle in the celebration that was a stamp set and designer series paper. Like I said, this class was supposed to have been a February class. I do have an extra bundle of this that we can work out. It was free with your $100 order, so it would take a little bit larger order to earn that from me. But I'm pretty easy, and I'm kind of trying something different of doing recipes for these cards, which would show what products I used, what item number it was, how much it cost, so that if there was something that you liked that you wanted to purchase for yourself, you kind of got it all in one place. I didn't get all 5 cards done this way, but I did get this one done with a recipe card. So this card is cut at 8.5 by 5.5. So it's a horizontal card. And the neat thing about this one, I offered 2 different colors of the label, and it was luck of the draw, or if you wanted to trade with your neighbor. But everybody's like, nope, I'll take this one. And one reason I did that, the little label that goes right back here has several different colors in it, and that kind of pulled, this soft sea foam kind of pulled some of those colors, and it just kind of blended. I liked it monotone like that also. Let's get this one mounted. It's cut at 2 inches by 5.5 because it goes all the way from side to side. When you're cutting the paper for these classes, you kind of have to stop and think about, because a lot of times if I'm cutting a piece just to kind of mat on the front of the card, that one is 4 by 5.25. So I kind of hate it whenever I cut them that size and then I realize, oh man, that was supposed to go side to side. All right, let's see. Got some beautiful iridescent rhinestones. Those are hiding in the annual catalog. The stamps. Crumb cake is what we stamped the sentiment in. Find the other ink. Here it is. Top came off of it. No problem. Okay. I need a piece of paper because I'm going to stamp off, and I don't want to stamp off on my clean matte grid paper. I think the weather today is like totally opposite. So I already cut your circle. I think it's 1.5 inches. Let's measure it. Nope, it's 2 inches. Well, so much for my estimating. And you can just kind of angle this bird. I wanted to make sure that its head is on there and its tail is on there. So as you can see, the stamp is bigger than the 2-inch circle, but that's okay. I like stamping off sometimes. And get this stamp cleaned. I still have somebody who has to come stamp her kit, because remember, I'm not supposed to provide stamped images. So if at all possible, I encourage my ladies to come do their stamping, which is what they really enjoy doing anyway. Where's my label? Here's my label. I'm going to go ahead and stamp. Hope you have the best birthday. That's in the stamp set. I'll show you this. It's called Hello. Friendly Hello. Hope you have the best birthday. It's got some awesome flowers in it. And the bird. I love birds. That's butterflies, birds. They both fly. They have wings. That might be why I like them. So I'm stamping the sentiment in crumb cake. I didn't want it to be black. Sometimes black is just kind of stark. And this just kind of lent itself to a softer look. So I chose crumb cake. And then the fun thing, we get to color. And you know how much I love these Stampin' Blends. So we've used the light and dark of Petal Pink and Soft Seafoam. And I chose Dark Daffodil. I don't know. Yeah, it's the center of the flower. This one I didn't even color. And then Crumb Cake just for the branch. And remember, when you're coloring small areas, I would recommend using the little nib and not the brush for better control. And I don't want to bore you, but I am going to color, because I like to have these done. When I get done, I like to not have to do anything except watermark them and get them packaged. Color the middle. I don't know, some reason or another, Daffodil Delight, when you're coloring with it, it never looks yellow. It dries okay. When it finally gets dry, then it's like, yeah, that looks fine. But when you're using it, you're kind of like, I don't know, that's not what I envisioned. So I could have made this a bluebird. I thought about that later. I'm like, I should have made that a bluebird. And there are coloring tutorials that some friends are taking, and where they learn to layer the colors on, and oh my gosh, it makes things just look amazing. I'm not that patient, sorry. So I'll just kind of highlight. I think I'm just going to leave it. Now, we don't usually see green flowers, but for this card, the sample that I was using, she colored them green. Rhonda Wade, and I'm like, well, how clever is that? That's why I decided I could use the Soft Seafoam also as a label. So I did it in light first, and then I'm going to color these just to give them some color. And whoops, I might have colored off one, and I labeled just a little bit. I'll have to figure out, you know, maybe if I just make some dots. Not going to look like I did it accidentally then. There, it just got chicken pox. These are all just mounted flat. Oh, it's notched on the end. Remember my trick of kind of eyeing up where halfway is, going from the corner up to your little, where you cut it, up. That's a good way to notch it. You could angle it. I just felt like it needed something. It didn't need to just be straight. Just give it a little interest here. And here's how I mounted it. I ran me some adhesive, and then I kind of eyed up. Sort of put it halfway. Put it halfway there. Halfway there. To me, that was easier than trying to stick it to the paper and then stick this to it. Let's go ahead and, whoops, come on. Remember, sometimes you have to use your finger to roll it so your adhesive is at the end of the roll. And it's not exactly centered on the card. It's off just a little bit to the left. There you go. And if you wanted to, one of them I mounted on dimensionals, one of them I didn't. I am going to mount this one on dimensionals. I think I like it raised up just a little bit. Sometimes I just feel like I overdo that, and so I choose to not do it on some cards. Then later I wish that I had. Whoops. And the nice thing about a circle, you just kind of turn that until you get it where it looks nice. And then your birthday, you could do it flat, and I think that's what I'm going to do with this one. Since I popped that up, I'm just going to lay this flat. And I kind of did it half and half here. it does have twine double bow. So to get your double bow, you cut 2 of the same length pieces of twine. I better put that in. It was like the last lady to make this card. She's like, I'm missing the twine in mine. And I'm like, I didn't put the twine in anybody's, and you're the first one to even mention that. So I went and got the twine, and I suddenly, quickly tied bows for everyone. So one of my ladies had come early and stamped. She'll have to use her own twine if she wants twine on hers. So the cool thing about this is if they end up different lengths, you can just pull them and make them be the same length. And then kind of figure out here how to make your tails go down. And I'm going to trim these off just a little bit so they're not overpowering my card. If you'll hang on, I got to get my glue dots. I had to clean my room. Where'd it go? Oh, never mind. They were on my table the whole time. I'm not used to where I've put everything back. And now I've got a roll that is rolling off backwards. We have this discussion every time. What is backwards? Sounds like a Jeopardy question. Okay. And then embellish it with a few. And I'm going to use 3, of course. Well, the wrong part came out. I'll use this size for down here. And here. And here. And these, it just depends on how the light hits them. They're pink, they're yellow, they're green, they're iridescent. So that's the nature of that word. Depending on how the light hits it is how the color shows up. So y'all, that is card number 2. It used the Hello, the Friendly Hello bundle that was free in the celebration. And then there's a strip to put on the inside. It's a coordinating piece. It's not the flowers, but it still worked. It used basic white cardstock, the crumb cake ink, the memento ink, the Stampin' Blends in 3 colors, the linen thread, and the iridescent rhinestones. I love this bird. He's so peaceful. Alright, switch out here. I did do a door prize this month. And Margene won the door prize. I was hoping that Margene would get to watch today, and I could tell her that. So this card, get this one put away, uses the Daffodil Afternoon paper, which was free during celebration. This is the big sheet. It's 12 by 12 paper, so I'm not going to open this to show you a whole lot. I think I might have a display card. Let me look for my display card. No, I made one, but I'm not going to spend the time. So Margene will get that. I'll get that to her when she comes to stamp. So this card uses some different things. It used the tulip, Daffodil Daydream. Let me move my notes over here. Daffodil Daydream bundle. So we use the stamps and the dies. The background is a piece of the Designer Series paper, and it's mounted on Flirty Flamingo. There should be a piece to go on the inside, a piece for the outside, and then there's a larger piece of vellum, and I did the scallop contour dies. I tried using the detailed ornate dies, and I fought with it and gave up. So I have already die cut my daffodils. We used the shimmer vellum, and this is in Pale Papaya. I did put the adhesive sheets on the back of this because we're going to mount it on a white daffodil. Daffodils, you know, there are a lot of hybrid species or varieties of daffodils, and some of them are white with the orange ruffles, some of them are yellow with orange ruffles, some of them are solid. So there's just tons of them. We made some on Pale Papaya, and my sample card was on white, so I decided I would make this one on white because I think I really like it better. Okay, and a stamp. So these were the dies, and it does fit in the mini die cutting machine. So that's a good thing, since we've already talked about that machine being offered during the month of March, 20% off. We had a little issue here with this. We used the window pane evening evergreen. Unfortunately, right now it is on back order. You know, the shipping snafus are nationwide, company-wide. It almost doesn't matter. Things are getting hung up either in production or in transportation, and Stampin' Up is no exception to that. So as demonstrators, we may plan a whole class around something and go to order it and find out that some of it's unavailable. So we have to pivot. We are learning to pivot. You can't really gripe about it because there's nothing you can do about it except pivot. So when there's something that you want, if it's available that day, I would recommend getting it or being patient and waiting for it to come in. I'm looking for the stamps. All right, so I'm going to stamp this daffodil in just Memento Black. I think I stamped it in black on my. We get to color again. Next month we're going to color, but we're going to use daubers. I have to keep it fresh. So you just kind of pick a spot. These are the red rubber stamps, so you don't have to try to use the piercing mat. I got a new stamp desk for Christmas, and this is the first time that I've done my live on it. My other was a folding table, and it had sagged, so there were times that my stamps weren't completely reaching the tabletop, and I wasn't getting good images. But I had been stamping on that table since I started. Alright, so we talked about that. Put an adhesive sheet on the back of that vellum. I think you probably remember that little tip from other videos. And I want the brush in. So I'm using Pale Papaya, and I'm going to color these back petals. Actually, I'm going to color the whole thing, but we're going to cover up the big daffodil part. But these back petals show, and I wanted them to kind of color coordinate with the, I don't have to color it real seriously. I may just color it solid. Let me put some highlights on it and see what it does. Just a little bit of, and see, that's gonna just kind of cover up the, so this is dark old olive. I think it's my favoriteest color. I hope they don't ever retire this one. And I just chose one. I didn't put in the light and the dark in order to have to highlight and all that. Alrighty, so give this a little color here. And the stem of the flower. That leaf. And I'm going to use some adhesive dots, some of the mini glue dots, to put this on. And basically I just sort of want it to cover what was stamped on there. So let's go back now and go ahead and assemble, because I want to show you, remind you now, this card, it's cut at 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2, so it's a top fold card. And there is an up and a down on these flowers, so be sure and kind of pay attention, unless you don't care if your flowers are upside down. I noticed in flower arranging, sometimes they have to put them upside down. And I'm going to go ahead and mount this, and I'm not going to worry about my adhesive because this is going to be covered by the label that I just made. I'm not going to go to the edge, I'm just going to keep it in the middle. I've got a little extra sticky going on there. And kind of center it, sort of like that. Now this was the part I wanted to warn you about. Because you're going to need to tie this before you put that label on there, or you're going to be a little unhappy whenever you get ready to put your ribbon on and you're like, oh man, I should have already tied that on. Whoops, wrong way. It could probably be done, but it's way easier to do it now. I'm just trying to see how much ribbon I need. I'm going to have to manage the mess on that one. Alrighty. And it's tied over to the left. So I kind of half my ribbon. And it can be tied either up and down this way. And I know there's probably a specific thing I do that makes it happen, but I don't even know what it is in order to tell you how to get your tie to tie. Where's the, there it is. Up and down as opposed to sideways. I just turned it a little bit the way I wanted it to orient. But I've tied bows. I mean, I had a daughter, so I've tied bows forever and a day. And you just kind of fiddle with it till you get it how you want it to look. There you go. And once you cut these tails off, that makes it look a little neater. And you can always fiddle with it. Now, if you start sticking it down, you're stuck. But I don't typically stick my bows down. Sometimes I'll put a little glue dot underneath where I want the bow to go. Okay, we are going to put this on dimensionals. And pop that on there. Pop that on there. Kind of give myself, leave the center undimensionaled. Is that a word? It is now. Because you don't want those dimensionals on the ribbon. That's going to make your card a little bit wonky. That's a total technical term. Okay. I did not stamp my Easter blessings. Not sure where my little piece of cardstock went to do that. But I decided that I would make this an Easter card. And I want to show you the cool thing about this stamp. Look how pretty that is. So we're going to stamp, and it fits exactly side to side. 4 inches. Boom. You don't have to stamp over. You don't have to. I thought that was pretty genius. Sometimes they make them like 5 1/2 inches, which is good, but then if you're wanting to stamp it the 4-inch direction, what a neat detail that adds. So that's a stamp in this same stamp set. I don't know where. Maybe I stole the label out of there. Of course, I put white on the inside of the sample card, and then I realized I probably, because the paper has the Very Vanilla background, that I probably should have just used Very Vanilla. We don't use that very much, but I didn't. Sorry, I'm off camera, but I don't want to get in, whoops, in the ink. And get this mounted so it's out of the way. I didn't have anything to put on the inside, but I kind of figured if you're sending it as an Easter card, you may want to just write your own sentiment. And I'll have to stamp my sentiment later after I get a piece of cardstock. We embellished it with the Artistry Blooms adhesive back sequins. These are in the annual catalog. I felt like it just needed a little bit of sparkle. All right, I've got, let's see what we've got going on here. A sheet that has, so I'll go ahead and pop those on, even though I don't have my sentiment stamped. There you go. It just gives it sparkle. Can you see the sparkle? Okay, that's card number 3. And like I said, unfortunately, that paper is retired, but I have some available. So if you're interested in getting some, we'll work out a deal with an order. So, okay, I'm gonna lay those there while I get my next card. My next card features the All Together bundle, and this one is an out of the catalog offering that's offered right now. Let me go to the page that has the, I used the Love Changes Everything. It is a bundle, so there are dies and a stamp set. The dies are called Here For You. There are words included in these dies. I haven't put it on a magnetic sheet because I ran out. I'm going to turn it over so you can see it. Here For You. And You Matter. I'm not going to take it off. So when you cut that out of cardstock, it comes out all together. You don't have Here For You. They've managed to put it together so you'll have one sentiment to work with. Then there's the dies that cut out the Pinky Promise there. So today we're going to use paper from the annual catalog that's called In Good Taste. And you maybe have kind of overlooked that paper because one side there's a lot of tiles, wood grains, kind of different elements. And then the other side is more, it's not, it looks different. So, I don't know, I wanted texture and some color. So I went through my papers and I was like, ooh, let's use that paper because I need to use this stuff up. This month, demonstrators will have access to the brand new annual catalog. We are, after the 1st of April, going to be involved in a process called On Tours. And as part of that process, you get to see the new annual catalog and do a pre-order. It will be live, I believe May 1st. They've changed up the calendars for these and still not used to the process. It may be June the 1st. Stay tuned. Inquiring minds want to know. Alright, so I used the Taylor tags. I didn't even write that on my little list of what I used to make this card. And I originally had stamped the hands separately and die cut them. And then I was telling my ladies, well, I could have just stamped them on that tag. But I think for this demo, I am going to stamp them separately and color them. Originally, you kind of have to keep in mind when using the Stampin' Blends that they do bleed through to the other side of your paper. So if it's something, you know, just a card front and you color, you're going to end up with bleed through on the inside of the card. And I think I was working so hard on trying to avoid that. All right, I'm just going to pick 2 colors. I'm not going to try to match what I did here. These are called the natural skin tones. And the bundle, there are 18 that you can purchase as a bundle, is unavailable because they're individual. They're sold in pairs. That doesn't mean it's the light and the dark like our others are paired up with the light and the dark. Put that in the right box. They're just paired together and they're numbered. They say SU 500, which is Stampin' Up 900. So individually, there are still some available, and they'll come back. They're hung up in the shipping stuff also. When I'm coloring long areas like this, I usually go the length of the item or the length of the image. I'm sure people who actually know art, that may not be correct, because I find that it does leave some, you know, you got some lighter spots, darker spots. None of us have exact skin tone. And the more you color it, it adds more layers and more layers to it. I believe I'll stop there. Like I said, I just reached in the box and I got 2. So these are meant to kind of represent skin tones all around the world. So there are some that are really dark, because there are people who have beautiful, beautiful dark skin. It's amazing how God made us, isn't it? And me, I'm a poor little pale Caucasian girl. I could stay outside. Well, if I did stay outside all day, I blister. I don't just sunburn, I blister. So guess what? I painted the nails on. Let's see, what did I pick out? I picked out Cherry Cobbler. This girl's gonna have Cherry Cobbler. And this girl is gonna have Melon Mambo. They're pretty close to the same color. Notice I use the little teeny tiny. When you put them side by side like this is when you notice the difference. So I'm going to bring my new little mini Stampin' Cut emboss machine. It may be a mini machine, but its name is very long. Put that. Where's my little image? Put this. Oh, I didn't stamp the heart. Well, it's all right. I want to show you how to cut this. And I just like using washi tape. It just helps hold it right in place. Can you see? Not real well. Now you can. I do have my laptop open over here beside me today. I figured out the Facebook thing. It was user error. Which is pretty typical. And my husband's phone is ringing and ringing. He's outside. All right, let me pull it back because I need room for it to come out the other side. Here it goes. Zoom, 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 zoom. Video may take a little bit more than an hour today. Not too much, maybe. Stick that up there. And there are my hands. I've got to still stamp my heart. It was hiding in the tub over here. There it is. So let's get it stamped. I think I'll cut that little puppy out by hand because it's a little puppy. What do I have here? Dark real red. Let's do the heart dark real red. You have to say that slowly. Can you see? Yeah. I could make my camera come more in my direction. I'm sorry if I'm mumbling today. I don't have anybody watching live. All right. Right quick, we'll cut this out. It's almost as quick as setting up the machine, bringing it over here, getting it lined up. I leave just a little bit of a white edge because the dyes do that. So if you want your tag to be angled, however you want this to look is how you're going to put these hands on here. And they're just mounted flat. So I'm just going to put some, see how it bled through on the back of the cardstock? And that's normal. It's not a problem, but you just have to be aware of it so you're not applying it someplace that you really don't want that bleed through on the back side. Let's use a mini glue dot. Using lots of mini stuff today. And just kind of put it in the center. And then since I'm going to cut off to angle, I'm going to mark where I want that. And of course I'm going to start at that corner. And I like to use my trimmer to do that. You can totally use scissors. So that way I know that was where I intended it to go. Let me stamp my love changes everything. Use my love changes everything. It certainly does cause one to pause and consider another point of view when we love. Our world is, I don't know, love doesn't seem to be the focus. So most of you, if you're aware, you know, Mardi Gras was, Fat Tuesday was Tuesday, and Ash Wednesday then was this week, and I call this the Journey to the Cross because the season of Lent, when I was growing up, we didn't really focus much on these different seasons of the church year, but it's actually about 46 days now until Easter. And we will be journeying to the cross because everyone knows that Easter Sunday we celebrate the risen Lord. Lent is meant to be kind of a somber, reflective time on this journey because if you're familiar with Scripture, the Lord journeyed to Jerusalem and he knew what was going to happen. He knew that he was going to be arrested and, well, first that he was going to be betrayed. He had his Last Supper in the upper room with the disciples. All of this is part of the Lent season. So from Ash Wednesday on, we're supposed to just kind of reflect on this journey. And I know something this year is just calling me to spend a little bit more time in prayer and reading the Bible. And I'm sure it has to do with our country and our world and our disagreements. Where is the Lord in all of this? Where are we supposed to be in all of this? Because it's very disturbing. But you know what? My belief is the Lord is in control. He has a plan. He is taking care of us. even though we look around us and we feel like it's all out of control and that nothing is going to change and we don't know what's going to happen next, God's in control. That's a promise that I've learned and I've held on to in many difficult situations. All the Bible verses that you memorize when you're a kid, there's a reason you're memorizing them when you're a child, or when anytime you memorize scripture, because when you're in difficult situations, those are the promises that you hold on to. That God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that he will not leave us, he's always with us, that do not worry, rest in the Lord. So, more about this card. I used the Playful Pets Combo Trim Pack to get my black and white baker's twine, threaded it through the hole, just, looped it through, and unraveled it, because I felt like it just needed some, it looked too plain just to leave it twisted. I cut around Love Changes Everything. And on the inside of the card that we did in class, every act of kindness changes the world. So I'm going to use these for thank you notes. Or you could use them for whatever. I put a little treat in my mailbox this week. It was actually some leftover Valentine treats for my mail person. It never hurts. Stick this in the mailbox with, if you know your mail carrier's name, even if you don't, put on there for our mail carrier, and bless their day, because I'm sure they don't get much of that. They're in their car, they're bumping through the roads, they're throwing mail in people's mailboxes. My poor mail person sometimes has to troop up the driveway because I order a lot from Amazon and Stampin' Up, and I'm sure they're going, oh, this lady is driving me crazy. So I bless them by putting little treats in my mailbox. I think we maybe have 2 different mail carriers. So sort of depends on which day I hit, if I'm blessing the right one or not. But maybe they share with each other. All right, our last card is, I did make a recipe card, Amazing Silhouettes. That stamp set is in the annual catalog, and it kind of gets overlooked, but I've seen some really simple cards with it. This is a more masculine birthday card because it's done in more masculine crumb cake, basic black. It has the blue. The paper, let me see if I noted over here which paper. It is the Home and Garden paper. Heart and Home Designer Series paper. That paper is flowery on one side, but then it has the wood tones and wood grains on the other side. So for this card, we're going to use the Stamparatus. This little stamping tool, for a long time, me and we would fight. But it's like with everything else. The more you use it, if you make up your mind that you're going to figure out how to do it, lo and behold, it all works. So I finally have come to really kind of enjoy using this Stamparatus, especially whenever you have a big image that it would be heavy to hold the block big enough that this stamp would go on. So I'm just going to position that just a little bit. It is stamped in Mossy Meadow. We were kind of laughing because sometimes greens get on your hands and stay with you a lot longer than reds do. We're always, be careful with that red, it's going to stain. This Mossy Meadow, it was an in color first, and then 2 or 3 years later they pulled it into the color families. It's in the neutrals, and I kept mine because I'm not a real big green person. But it was one that I liked, so I kept it, and lo and behold, it came back. So what I like about the Stamparatus, you notice I used the magnet a little bit there at the corner. is if I didn't think that image was stamped very well, I could re-ink it. This has not moved. I'm not taking this off. I could re-ink it and make the colors even darker. I'm going to leave it just like that. The Stamparatus are easier to clean with our stamping chamois. These are the, they're usually like a bluish purple, but you can see mine is whatever color. And the cool thing about it, it picks up that ink, but it doesn't deposit. Well, it did deposit it because it's still wet. Well, never mind for that little advertisement. I need to rinse it out. That's about all you have to do to it. Rinse it out. They will dry out, and they're harder than a rock when they dry out. And then you kind of have to soak them and rehydrate them because they're like a sponge, basically. I'm going to set that aside. Take this out. Put this away so it's out of our way. I used one of the Heart and Home doilies, and I could have cut it in half, and you're welcome to do that if you want to, and then you'll have a half to make another card. But I end up with so much stuff left, I just gave you the whole doily. Alright, so this card is a traditional, you know, book type card. It's cut at 5.5, well 8.5 by 5.5. Scored at 4 1/4. The one thing about my recipe cards, I don't give you cutting instructions. If you wish to have cutting instructions, I can do PDFs. The recipe cards were meant to just tell you, and I did get one done for this card, to tell you what I used on the card. See the back side of that? I love this. We're going to use those bees. I'm already picking out the cards. I like to use Pinterest for part of my inspiration. So I've been cruising Pinterest. All right, get that mounted on there. I'll move this out of the way. And I have a piece of black that is, ends up with about a 1/16 of an inch mat around the panel of white, basic white. Just kind of made it pop. I made this a birthday card. Totally up to you if you don't want to make it birthday. So kind of lay it out just a little bit to figure out. And I think what I'll do, put a little bit of adhesive on here so I can stick it on there, and I'll adhere the rest of it. Kind of see then. Same amount at the top and the bottom. Go. Find my happy birthday. And I just offered the Mossy Meadow ink. I didn't do any black ink. This label is just square because it's kind of a masculine card. It didn't need any details on it that would distract. We kind of laugh because look, another double bow. I did a double bow. Sometimes there's a theme that runs through these cards, and we don't really notice it till I get the cards all made and put together and side by side, and I went, well, I did the same thing on that one and that one. Okay. I put dimensionals on my label, and I'm going to put it up. We use the, what did I do with them? I laid them down. Classic matte dots. I love these little dots. I believe they're in the January to June mini catalog. I think. Don't quote me on it for sure. I'm going to put one over here. And let's put over here. I did a gray that time, and the black. I did it the opposite way, and it didn't show up as well, so I thought I would change the order, and I just did 3. Kind of brings your eye across and then down to the sentiment. So once again, if you want to tie, this is 2 strands. It just makes a fuller bow. I'll just tie one this time, and then that way you can see the difference. This is from the Baker's Twine Combo Pack in the annual catalog. Remember, it comes with 5 colors. Baker's Twine Essentials 5. So, they don't sell it just white, just black. I debated about this twine or not because I didn't want the card to get too feminine, but I decided that it just added and I liked it better on the corner. So let's put it on with a glue dot. I think sometimes my ladies forget that glue dots are great for small things like this. And they try to use their tape runner, and then they end up with sticky everywhere. All over them, all over the paper. All right. I believe that those were the 5 cards that we did for the February class that we did in March. I'm sorry that some of the papers aren't available, but like I said, I have extras, and if there's something that you just totally love and would like to have, we can work that out with your orders. So I appreciate your time, and if you have any questions, just let me know. My next card class is March the 24th. That's my stamp club. If you want to be a member of that, you just tell me that you would like to be a member, and you promise to place a minimum $25 order each month, and you, after 6 months, you'll get to choose free stamp set from me. Then my next bundle class is Thursday, March the 31st. It is the Artfully Composed. And it's one that you have to let me know by Thursday, March the 17th. It does cost $35, but you do get product. And the card kits to make 5 beautiful cards. They're going to get us ready for summer because they're kind of a tropical theme. A little bit, that Artfully Composed bundle is. So that's all for today. See you next time. Bye.